Can you hear my heartbeat? Tired of feeling never enough. I close my eyes and tell myself that my dreams will come true. There'll be no more darkness when you believe in yourself. You are unstoppable. Where your destiny lies, dancing on the blaze, we set my heart on fire. Don't stop us now, the moment of truth. Yes, we were born to make history. We'll make it happen, we'll turn it around. Yes, we were born to make history.
Alright! Bakit ako na nagsimula? Mas maganda mga boses nyo.
Well, you wanted to sing.
It's
History Maker.
It's History Maker. It's
your
my
theme song.
jam!
It's your theme song.
But God, I really love Yuri on Ice. That was the best highlight of my 2017.
I don't think anyone who hasn't watched Yuri... I don't think anyone who has watched Yuri on Ice would hate Yuri on Ice.
It's so great. Episode 7 broke the internet because of the kiss quotation mark. And I mean, Yuri on Ice is literally a history maker because in the past sports anime, even though there's a lot of subtext that can be taken as homoerotic, Yuri on Ice actually committed to it. And that's why people like it because it's not queer bait anymore. It's actually queer.
I mean, they didn't say it outright, but I think
they didn't say it
the
outright.
actions speak for themselves.
Yeah, the actions speak for themselves. And interestingly enough, if you look at Yuri on Ice's My Anime List page, they don't actually tag Yuri on Ice as Shonen Ai or as Yaoi or Yaoi. It's a sports anime that just happens to have a romance between two male characters. And that's what's so great about it. It's like they're trying to normalize the concept of boys' love instead of having to tag it as a separate genre of its own. But speaking of Yaoi or Yaoi and whatever linguistic debate we have going on there. Hi guys, welcome to AME After Hours, your weekly podcast that talks about anything and everything about anime, manga, or the community. Once again, I'm Angelica.
I'm Eric.
And today we'll be joined by some of our applicants who are interning for the Academics Committee in UP AME. Can you guys introduce yourselves? Just give us your name and your favorite anime.
Oh, hi, I'm Ruth and my favorite anime is Gintama.
Hey everyone, I'm Kristen and my favorite anime is, if I were to choose a favorite anime, I cannot choose, but I'd say Hatalia.
That's alright. We can choose either. It changes.
Yeah, I think it has happened because of the number of anime that we have watched over.
There's so much anime. So it's hard to choose a favorite. But speaking of favorites, we're talking about my favorite. I don't want to call it genre, but it's fine. Let's use that word. We're talking about one of my favorite genres, which is Yaoi or Yaoi. But first, let's set up some definitions. For you guys, how do you define Yaoi or Yaoi as a genre? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess Yaoi would more or less be... Do you want the library definition I got for it? Apparently, Yaoi is an abbreviation for a 4-line phrase, which is 3-line phrase, which is Yamanashi, Ochinashi, Iminashi. So it's kind of like no sense, no meaning, no plot, something like that. So I think that was just something for. Can I say porn?
Yeah, just say the word.
Yeah, I think
we talked about hentai in one.
I think that was just probably what's it called? An excuse for porn without plot fan fiction. But yeah, I guess Yaoi or Yuri is most likely just homosexual relationships as the focus of the story.
Although I find it interesting that the translation is no sense, no meaning, but then years later, the fans created their meaning out of Yaoi. So like, just goes to show you
Yeah.
how meanings
I
can change throughout
think that
time.
was just a made up meaning by someone who just wanted to make
So
fun of it
probably
for
not official.
porn without plot fan fiction.
But then surprisingly, some yaoi titles actually have a lot of plot, not just porn. It's porn with plot, or just plot at all.
Yeah. I like plot. I like
Yeah, I like plot. I don't know. We have a tendency to associate yaoi closely to hentai or ecchi. But I don't know.
Oh,
It's,
have you defined what yaoi is for you?
Oh, basically, yaoi for me is it's an anime or a manga or any type of work where the focus is between male homosexual relationships. Basically, this.
How about you guys,
How about you
Kristen?
guys? What's yaoi for you?
Well, for me, I think it's a work that explores the male homosexual relationship and it aims to focus on the different facets of the relationship, and I think that's what it is.
How about you?
Well, my definition is basically kind of similar to you guys. Male to male relationships. Usually there's a stigma regarding yaoi, whatever you want to call it, but there are some good yaoi, there are some
Yeah,
bad
that's
yaoi.
what we're going to talk about today. Because there's a lot of negative attachments towards the words yaoi, yaoi, shonen ai, boys love, whatever you want to call it. Because it's mostly associated with something taboo, which is the male homosexual relationships. But I don't see it that way. Like, yaoi is like it's it's hard to explain, but it's like the genre itself, it's a space to explore homosexual relationships in anime and manga. Kasi if you think about it, if you compare it to Western fandoms, Western TV shows, or even some of our own Asian fandoms, they don't have a genre for homoerotic or homosexual relationships.
They just call it gay.
Yeah, yeah, it's just that. But speaking of yaoi, do you guys identify yourselves as fujoshis or fudanshi?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Uh,
We're stepping on the landmine
I mean,
immediately.
should we be coming out like this right now to our online audience?
Nah, it's fine. But like, I just want to clear something up because like, fujoshi has a lot of, well, even fudanshi, it has a lot of negative connotations to it because like they immediately assume it's a female fan fetishizing male homosexual relationships, but really, I forgot that definition. I'm so sorry. I forgot my train of thought with it. But like originally, fujoshi was just somebody who supported the genre itself of yaoi, yaoi, or shonen ai. It's not fujoshis or fudanshis. They're not people who fetishize these kinds of relationships, but people who support these kinds of relationships. So kind of like allies to those depictions of homosexual relationships.
But well, because some people were pointing out that fujoshi as a term actually means rotten girl.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of negative connotations to the term, and a lot of people would be afraid to identify as a fujoshi.
Actually, interestingly enough, I think I read this way before as well. I actually made, it's called a paper as well that
That's why we've all
explores.
these anime
I don't know why I did this for my English class, but the word for Joshi at first started as a word to define noblewoman. But then the kanji for the fu in fujoshi, because it's the fu is noble and the joshi is lady, the fu got replaced with the fu for disgusting or rotten. And that's how the term fujoshi for people who consume hentai articles, yaoi hentai articles came about.
So basically, linguistics messed us up.
I guess.
Kind of.
Kind of.
But like, personally, I don't think it's. No, wait. It's hard to express my support over this considering how it's a really long debate on identifying yourself as a fujoshi or a fudanshi.
Speaking of which, like, did we ever come out? Like, did we ever say that we were fujoshi or fudanshi?
Now let's leave it at
Okay, so guys, raise your hands up. Who here is a Fujoshi or Fudanshi? Because this is gonna translate very well to a sound-based only video.
Alright, we know it among ourselves. You guys don't have to know it. It depends on you. We don't wanna change your views or
On
anything.
us.
But like, let's talk about our favorite yaoi animes or mangas. Like, just give a title. You don't have to explain anything. Just say the title, and the audience will take it as it is. Let's start with you.
Wait, what are we gonna do?
Name your favorite yaoi anime or manga or other words. It doesn't have to be tagged as yaoi or shonen as well, but if you take the subtext as that, that's good too.
I don't. Nothing comes to mind.
Oh no. Okay, how about the fandom that first introduced you to the idea of yaoi? Oh my god, everybody just wow, everybody's reactions.
Well, okay. As a child, I was watching Fairy Tail on TV, and once I actually made an account on Tumblr, and then I realized that people were shipping the two men that I loved to see around each other. And they're-
Is this Natsu and Gray?
Yes.
How about you, Kristen? How did you step into this crazy world of yaoi?
It's a long story.
Alright.
Though I'd say that my first taste of yaoi, was with this anime called Katekyo Hitman Reborn.
I was gonna say that for mine. You start.
Beat you to it. But I'd say that there was the Tsunayoshi Sawada Mukuro ship. There was also the Tsunayoshi Sawada Hibari ship. And then the other, basically he was shipped with most of the male characters.
I thought they were described by numbers. I remember people calling them as numbers.
29,
Yes,
69.
I will talk about the numbers
Yes.
later when it's my turn. But how about you, Eric? What introduced you to the world of yaoi?
It depends. I can remember two instances, but I don't remember which one came before the other one. One of them was this game called Grand Chase. It was actually a Korean game. I don't know, I always start stuff with Korean things. Like I started getting scared with a Korean web novel. Then right now, apparently I started finding out about yaoi by a Korean-based MMORPG.
It's cool.
I don't know.
Korea has its own.
Anyway, Grand Chase, the characters there were kind of like 16 to 18-year-olds. Apparently by profile, but they didn't look like it. And for some reason, I just ended up getting curious about fan fiction, and then I ended up seeing fan fiction of like the characters Ronan and Lass, or like Jin with Ryan,
We're
or
gonna
C
talk
Sharp
about
with
fan
Ryan.
fiction later too. I have so much to say about
Oh, and there was one other way for me to start was Pokemon actually. Yeah, I had two main ships in Pokemon because I was actually able to watch the Kanto season of the anime. It was either I would be strongly shipping Kanto shipping, which is Ash and Misty, or I would be strongly shipping palette shipping. I'm gonna say later which one is palette shipping.
Alright.
I'm not gonna say it now.
Alright. Yeah, me and Kristen share the same fandom that introduced us to yaoi, which is Katekyo Hitman Reborn.
Love that show.
But for me, it was Mohuro and Hibari's fight under the Sakura, the crazy ship.
I remember I shipped that too, kind of.
Yeah, but like I shipped Dino and Hibari more. We'll go back to Dino.
I forgot about Dino.
Oh my god, we're all old. We're so old. But let's talk about Hitman Reborn for a while. Because if you guys know, well, some of you may know, when it comes to fan fiction, Hitman Reborn is something special.
It's a hot spot.
Definitely. Yeah, they use numbers to depict their yaoi ships. Like if you take the syllables of his name, they're 2 and 7. So his number is 27. Yeah.
Oh,
Su and Na.
So
Yes.
that's what it. So
Yeah,
that's what
it's 27.
Yeah.
And then if you take Mukuro, I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
That's a
It's-
6,
Okay, it's 6 and 9. And not because it's the kinky number, that's just his birthday. He's
Also,
it's Rokudo. Oh, because his birthday is also June 9, so I thought that was where it came from. Oh no.
It's probably a coincidence.
From
It's
Bukuro?
probably
Is he
a
6'9"? Because Mu is 6 and Ku is 9. At least, if you're trying to translate it into number words, I mean, Tsuna is also like 2, and then Nana, which is 7.
Yeah, probably
That's
is.
where it started.
So like, if you're gonna ship Tuna and Mukuro, their ship name would be 2769, 2769. But then again, the arrangement of the numbers implies that Tuna is the top. So some people would argue 6927, which is Mukuro is the top. And God, the top-bottom discourse is so problematic in Yaoi. Well, not top and bottom. It translates to seme or uke. And like, personally, I really don't like assigning people as top, as seme or uke. I like to believe that every character is a switch. That's it. Or, can be top or bottom.
Surprisingly, these are football terms.
Are they football? I thought it was baseball terms, because receiver and catcher.
You can also do it for like attacker and ano.
See, that's why sports anime is gay, guys.
And they're also verbs in their own right, semeru and ukeru. Yeah.
I like, well, yeah. I still find it very problematic to assign characters as seme and uke. Because, like, yeah, if you look in the very, very long discourse about it, it's like assigning gender roles, a female and a male gender role, to characters who are both male. So it's like you're trying to force the homosexual relationship into a format that's heterosexual. So, I don't know, I feel very, very iffy about it. And also, on that note, seme and uke, I also find it very invasive. Because like, if you take it with real life homosexual relationships, it's like asking a homosexual couple, so, how do you do it? It referring to sex, guys. We're all
I think I've seen skits and sketches where people actually ask, so who tops, who bottoms?
Yeah, and it's so invasive. What's it to you what their sex life is gonna be like? I'm talking about real life now.
They need
because-
gossip in their life.
Yeah, they need gossip in their life. But like, it's also problematic in the sense that, so we don't want to talk about, well, normally we don't want to talk about homosexual relationships but because it's taboo. But if you're going to ask about the relationship, you go to the sex question. Like, I don't know, guys. Homosexual people aren't just sex objects, they're actual people. So, but do you think it's necessarily bad to assign semi-roles and uke roles to two characters, or maybe more than two characters?
Well, I guess it's not necessarily evil per se. I mean, I guess it would be that if you are gonna be doing static roles for just two characters, like someone is already from the very start supposed to be this kind of character without no development, without no what's it called? Possible way to change the character to suddenly be the one to receive instead at one chapter, even if it's just one chapter. I mean, it's already defined at the very start that he will always be that specific kind of character. Yeah, it might have its own problems, but I guess for one-shots where you can, the artist decides who actually does the penetrative acts and who does the who does the receiving acts. I guess it can be more accepted because
Well, yeah, it's a one shot. It's not like you can do much to change.
yeah. So it's just to, I guess, give a name to. I mean, like some people might want to see someone be more aggressive in the relationship. Other people might want to see that someone else might be more aggressive in the relationship, and some people might want to see another kind of being aggressive in the relationship, which is, being aggressively receiving it.
But like, well, I guess part of the problem of the semi-uke archetype, it's really associated with stereotypes when it comes to personality. Like, oh, the semi, they're the cool one, they're the level-headed one, they're the taller one, the bigger one in every sense of the word. And then the uke is supposed to be the tsundere one, the soft-faced one, the smaller one with the less sharp chin.
Actually, I really find it amusing when those tropes get subverted. When
Yeah, I know, right?
actually the big one is the uke.
I don't know. I like seeing big guys cry.
I just like seeing guys cry in general. I just like seeing guys cry in general.
Yeah.
Because we never get enough of that. That is not in like very, very rough forms of sexual relationships.
But like, well, I think our stereotypes stem from, we guess it, Junju Romantica and Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi. If you guys know that, that's probably your entryway to the yaoi genre. Am I right? Raise your hands if that was your entry to the yaoi, for a yaoi specific show. Like, it's actually tagged as yaoi. What? Just me? Alright. So if
You
you
wanna
guys...
know how I started?
What?
Boku no Pico.
Okay. This is a safe podcast. We will not talk about. We'll talk about that another time.
Alright, we'll cut
We
it.
talk, did we talk about it in the podcast? I'm not sure. Yeah, but like if you guys see Junjo Romantica and Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi, if you compare all the semis and all the ukes, there seems to be a similar art style among them. Like the semis draws, their jaws, man, they're so sharp they could cut me.
The way the eyes of the ukes are drawn.
Yeah, and the uke's
really
eyes
round,
are always drawn really round. And I don't know.
really
man,
innocent.
The ukes, they're very feminized in that
A
in
bit.
that sense.
Ju-
So yeah, we go back to assigning gender roles for characters who are both male. Well, I don't think it's necessarily bad to have stereotypes and to have archetypes when it comes to the semi and uke role. It's just that it kind of puts yaoi relationships in a defined box. Like, to make a seme, this is what you need. These are the traits that you need. And to be an uke, these are the traits that you need. But in real life homosexual relationships, it's not like that. I think real life relationships are more diverse with their representations, and I think anime right now compared to the era of Junjo and Sekai Ichi, they really have changed the yaoi genre a little to include more diverse representations.
Yeah, and in more recent doujins, you can actually see more subversions of those
Yeah,
regular
subversion of
stereotypes of seme and uke.
Smaller guy is the seme.
Yeah, or both of the guys are muscle dudes.
Yes, you're romantic. Or like, there's no seme and uke in all. They're just two boys who happen to be in a relationship together with
Yeah.
their sex. That's my favorite type. But well, let's move on from talking about prevalent characterizations, and let's talk about prevalent themes in terms of plots and settings and everything else. So, right from the get-go, the semi and uke dichotomy is problematic, somewhat problematic. But how about themes? How about plot lines and settings and everything else about yaoi manga and anime? What do you find problematic?
How about you guys, Sam, Kirsten? Do you have any ideas you want to share with us about the themes in yaoi, anime and manga? Like, what do you remember vividly from the anime and manga that you may have
You've consumed.
consumed?
Well, in my case, I guess it's always that somehow the relationship is represented in a really unhealthy manner in my perspective, because while the text the
Go ahead.
the dojin, or the whatever it is depicting a okay, usually I see the assigned seme being this aggressive person, that somehow the uke would look past those aggressions, the bad characteristics, and just in like somehow poorly written, they say that they will accept them for who they are. And
Can you name some titles, or like, if you can recall it, but if not, it's fine.
Does Kaichoa made some count into this trope? Kidding.
We talk about gay today. I love sexual, but today we talk about the gay.
oh my gosh.
Ah, gee.
Okay, personally, because I usually only read like one shots, so I don't I consume them at a really fast rate, so I can't remember any titles.
Do you guys know Black Monkey Pro? It's a studio that created a work called Overgrip. I can remember this one story. If you mind me summarizing it, uh, for those who don't want to hear this, just skip 30 seconds forward. But it's basically the story about two guys. One of them is in a relationship already with his girlfriend, and then the other guy who always had a crush, the guy with the boyfriend. Faked that his girlfriend won't be able to join them in a yacht party that was set up, and then there was just the two of them. The guy with the boyfriend finds out. The guy with the guy with the girlfriend finds out that it was a setup, that his girlfriend couldn't make it. Goes into the ocean on his own. Gets raped by an octopus. Yeah, gets saved by the other guy. Both of them go back to the yacht, apparently have sex, and they both enjoy it for some reason. And then they both get raped again by octopuses. And then after that endeavor where they ended up killing the octopus and bringing it back to shore as some sort of prize, they end up together
I think I've read that one. Oh my god, I've read.
with no other explanation. That's it. That's it. They ended up together because they got raped by octopuses and they liked it. Oh, sorry.
So I guess that's what's problematic about Yaoi. There's a lot of dubious consent or no consent at all when it comes to having sex. And we go back to the sex thing. Why is it that I don't know, man. I feel like the climax of the relationship of the entire or of the series is always them having sex, and once they have sex, they're all good. It's like sex is the final commitment to being boyfriend.
By the way, I'm not saying that Overgrip is bad, okay? I mean, the art style of Black Monkey Pro has always been something that I have seen as really good. I mean, I would rate it like a 9 out of 10.
But the plot itself.
It's just the plot. It's kind of like reminiscent of the older yaoi one-shot genre. It's just like, Seme just corners Uke into having a relationship, and Uke starts to have mild Stockholm syndrome for some reason.
In this house, we support healthy homosexual relationships, guys. Well, besides, the fact that on the matter of consent, on the matter of sex, anything else that you find problematic about some yaoi, anime, and manga?
The very unrealistic expectation that I guess I mean just like it's very unrealistic that they're not bothered by anyone else except by the seme. No one else like harasses them in the same manner as the seme. It's like it's just the seme. I mean, if they were attractive, you would think that some other people would be showing this kind of so-called interest towards him. But then again, maybe we're just focusing on the efforts of the seme. We're not really focusing on the efforts of the other people that would like to woo his interest as well. Stuff like that. Yan.
And another thing, well, it's just a minor thing, but still. And really old yaoi anime and manga, they rarely say the word boyfriend. They always say lover. They always say partner. But what about
They
the
can't
boyfriend?
say boyfriend.
Is it a Japan thing that they can say the word boyfriend?
It's only reserved for girls who end up in straight relationships.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe it's just that kind of culture. Like if you say karishi, it just ends up sounding wrong for some reason.
I don't know. Personally, for me, I would like a boyfriend before I have a lover. It's different connotations there.
Yeah.
Boyfriend is the innocent. You're just getting to know each other.
The dating one.
The dating one, yeah. Why do you always gotta jump to the sex and the
Because
lovers?
lover is
one?
like, it's already my husband's lover's levels.
Yes.
Ganun na yun. They're already at that point.
Like, alright, you know, AO3 tags, it's always friends to lovers. Why not friends to boyfriends then lovers? I don't know. Why you always gotta talk about the sex, man? Have you ever considered that asexual people exist? Okay, getting too emotional. Okay, let's move back a little. I've been talking about the negativities of yaoi, anime, and manga, but
Kristen, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought that you might have something in your mind right now.
well, considering what
Yeah, I'm about to say something. I'm sorry. Yeah, we've been talking about the negativities of yaoi, anime, and
Also, you
manga.
wanted to focus more
Yeah,
on the
but
positive
like,
side.
sorry. Yeah, we've been focusing on the negative sides of yaoi, anime, and manga, and yet we still consume them. So I guess there should be some redeeming factors about yaoi as a genre that makes us want to continue watching it over and over and again. So, what are some good things about yaoi that you guys have seen or experienced? I guess personally for me, the fact that yaoi focuses on homosexual relationships is already a big thing.
it's a step.
Yeah, it's a step. Cause like Philippine media guys, wait, mascom student about to rant about Philippine media.
The only thing
Okay.
we had is My Husband's Lover, and it's not that great.
We have My Husband's Lover.
It's not
We
that
have
great anyway, though.
Yeah, it's not that great. I think because Philippine media is still trying, emphasis on trying to accept that these kinds of relationships exist and that they must be represented in the media. But they're doing it's baby steps. It's bad baby steps, but it's steps. But yaoi, it's been going on for a very long time. And then, yeah, it's technically gay representation. Some of them are good gay representations, not all. I think the yaoi genre, the titles inside them, they're not representative of the entire gay community. And well, it's difficult to capture them considering how diverse the community itself is. So it's gonna be very difficult for writers of yaoi to fully capture the image of what is a gay person. But yeah, gay rap, alright. I don't know, personally for me, yaoi was my first exposure into the idea of homosexuality and other sexual orientations and gay identities. What about you guys? What's so good about yaoi? That you watch it, that you read it, that you play video games about it.
Now you made me remember DMMD.
You guys want to say anything? Yeah?
Well,
Don't be afraid.
as someone who consumes yaoi, more on less of the official anime and more of the fan fiction and fan art. I've actually seen some fan fiction that really set the bar on really good plot and character development and everything. Especially there was actually this one writer from the Hetalia fandom that wrote this especially good series of fan fiction. Basically, there are two completed series. There's one for the Germany and Italy ship, and there's another for the America, US and UK ship. Though I personally prefer the Germany and Italy ship, Gerta. And I saw, although Italy was seen as the softer character, quote unquote uke for terminologies, terms and everything, but he actually received some really good character development all throughout the story. He was able, at the very end of the story, spoiler warning, but not too much spoilers, pretty vague. He actually managed to do major stuff in the plot that helped save the quote unquote stronger, dominant one.
Like make his own pasta.
So fan fiction really helped with.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about fan fiction for a while. Because originally, I was gonna do a thesis about fan fiction, but it got rejected.
Aw.
But
Specifically gay fanfic.
yeah, specifically gay fan fiction. Let's get that out of the way. But still, I have RRL. I've read it. I know my stuff. I almost said the other S word. But like,
You know your Shanghai.
what?
You know your Shanghai.
But like the powerful thing about fan fiction is You take the author's characters and you mold them into your own. So you're making your own representation that the author themselves could not make. Because if you think about the context of the authors of our favorite yaoi, anime, or manga, they're still Japanese. They still have reservations. But as a fan, you have more agency than them. You don't have editors trying to breathe down your neck. You have AOT, you have Tumblr for fan arts. You have more freedom than them to create the representation that people need.
In fact, there are some fan-made works that are actually even deeper story-wise than the official works.
Yes, I know.
They make me shed tears.
Yeah, I know. Fan fiction makes me cry too. Especially fan fiction that brings people back to life. But like, okay, I'll share something. Do you guys know Voltron?
Yes.
Do you know about Shiro's sexual orientation? Do you know about Adam?
Yes. Oh
So,
no.
yeah, it's spoiler territory, but Voltron ended a long time ago anyway. But in Voltron, they already had gay representation. They had Shiro. And then they suddenly introduced that Shiro had a boyfriend whose name. Okay, are you about to cry? I'm so sorry, I'm making you relive this. But like, Shiro has a boyfriend named Adam. And then I'm gonna skip some parts. But they were supposed to get married, apparently. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I love them so much. But at the end of season 7, Adam gets killed off in the story. And well, this is a common trope when it comes to gay relationship. It's called bury your gays. It's when in a relationship between two non-heteronormative people, one of them gets killed off. And that's basically what happened to Adam and Shiro. There was already a gay relationship in the show, but they killed off one person and suddenly no more relationship, no more representation.
Is Shira the old man?
What?
Is Shira the old man?
He's technically not old. He
Oh,
has
does
gray
he
hair.
have gray hair?
Yeah, he has gray hair.
But he's the one of the Voltron team.
Yes.
Okay, so he's that guy.
Yeah, he's that. Yeah. Okay. And then
I haven't seen this. I
bury
haven't
your
watched
gays.
this.
It's a really dangerous trope because it feels like we are not allowed to exist in this medium. But fortunately, we have fan fiction and fan art to save the day. And now we have a trope called Unbury Your Gays, which is basically us bringing back dead people to life and giving them the happy gay wedding, happy ending that they deserve. Thank you very much. Because if you think about it, yaoi is really our introduction to the idea of homosexuality and other sexual orientations. And I don't know, watching yaoi can kinda, I'm not saying it's a causal effect. It's not a causation, it's a correlation. Alright, I hope my profs are proud of me. But like, if you watch yaoi or read or consume it, you get this idea that maybe you yourself, you're probably not straight. Yeah, I'll admit it na yan, I'm not straight. Thanks to, not thanks to Yaoi, but like Yaoi has opened my eyes to the idea that maybe the straight path is
The
not
doorway.
the only, open the doorway. The straight path is not the only path that I could take.
Voltron was made by DreamWorks, right? Voltron was made by DreamWorks.
DreamWorks?
Well,
Much like Shira versus the Forces of Evil.
I'm not sure. We shall confirm it.
but like rather than like pointing out DreamWorks, it's more appropriate to point out the writer or the.
Are they from the same writer?
Wait, who?
Are they made by the same writer? Voltron and Shira?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Oh.
But can I name drop? Okay, so Laura Montgomery, she's basically the reason why these representations were abolished. They were, along the way, they were not maintained in the story anymore. And a lot of fans are really upset about her decisions in the way she directed the Voltron.
Yeah, because unfortunately, there are gatekeepers in the media. Okay, more mass com terms, hello. Gatekeeper, it's basically what gets in the way of sending a message across. And it's kind of like a filter. So I guess we can say that Laura Montgomery, in a sense, was a gatekeeper for the original intention of the Voltron story. and it changed because she changed it, because she filtered something out, which is the homosexual relationship. Unfortunately, that's why it must be very difficult in the Philippine media to get gay representation. Because we are still very much a conservative Roman Catholic country, and there are gatekeepers in the media who do not want that sort of representation because it might turn the kids gay. Yes, sarcasm intended. Jokes on you, I have Yaoi to turn me gay. Yeah, but back to the topic of fan fiction, you made a point that some fan fiction are actually in better representation, right? Well, yeah, I guess it has to do with the fact of the fans themselves. Because, I don't know, some fans already identify as part of the LGBTQI plus community, and they have the experiences to back up the fan fiction and the fan art that they made. Because, yeah, it's their own experience of them as gay or bisexual or as pansexual within the community. I don't think, well, maybe some authors of yaoi, anime, and manga, maybe some of them identify as part of the community. But actually, if you look, a lot of them are female authors. So I guess that's why we have a lot of negative ideas about the representations of yaoi and manga. Yaoi and anime and manga.
Because it's always just in the minds of females.
Yeah, it's through the minds of female
Want to
authors.
imagine relationships between two guys, I guess.
Yeah. Well, female authors are very limited in what they can put out there because they're not guys themselves. But let's not discount the efforts of some female authors in trying in creating yaoi, anime, and manga. Like what's her name again? The creator of Yuri on Ice.
It's okay. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I swear. I just forgot your name. But if you guys don't know, the creators of Yuri on Ice are actually females. And despite writing about male characters, they did such a good job of Yuri on Ice. And really, their vision for Yuri on Ice is a world where you can love who you love.
And I think that's beautiful, man.
But well, yeah, I've been fangirling about Yuri on Ice since the beginning. That's the opening song for them. But aside from Yuri on Ice, what other yaoi and anime and manga can you recommend?
Before that, I looked it up. Yuri on Ice was created by Sayo Yamamoto and Mitsuru Kubo.
Kubo-san, Yamamoto-san, I love you. I swear. Thank you so much for giving us Yuri on Ice. But yeah,
Alright, moving on.
Moving on. Okay. How about you guys? I already recommend Yuri on Ice. I have other recommendations up. But what other anime, manga, films, movie, books can you recommend about it? Okay, let's start with you. Let's talk about Given. On behalf of Ian, who's not here but who was excited to talk about Yaoi, let's talk about Given.
I've always mentioned Given. I think I've mentioned Given for the past two podcasts as well. I mean, it's just ever since the anime shown, and it already exceeded all of my expectations for what it would become. Even though the production was as expected, the message was pointed out loud and clear. Well, basically, Given is about mainly the only fully gay character at the start of the story is Mafuyu. Mafuyu had a boyfriend who apparently committed suicide and left him with a guitar after his death. And now Mafuyu is finding a way to, reconcile this death of his boyfriend. And then he meets Ritsuka and the other band members, and they make up the 4-member band of the seasons, which became later known as Given.
So, well, we talk about a lot of the negative tropes and themes about yaoi. How does Given address those kinds of tropes?
Well, for one, it's not revolving around having sex with the person that you like. I mean, they're also only developing their feelings towards one another in the story, but they're also not forcing their feelings on the other person just like that.
Should watch that.
Yeah.
I'm so deprived of good.
Yeah, and it also shows parang the balance between their problems as people and their problems as ano, wait no their problems as band members and their problems as students and their problems as being people that like who they like. I don't think there is emphasis that in those problems that outweighs one of the other problems. They all they all coincide one another, and just I think it represents very well how a person would be prioritizing how they do their problem solving when it comes to the stuff around them.
Watch that. I've been putting it off. It's
Yeah.
getting a movie, right?
I think so, or at least the second season. I mean, I just really want to see Mafi sing the second song of second single of their new band is given.
And,
It's like,
I haven't watched it, but I'm thinking the music is the outlet for all the problems. Like
yes,
it all
it was.
compounds into
Yeah,
music.
it was only one single that came out, but it really let out everything that Mafuyu felt about his dead boyfriend.
It's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had me at no sex. I swear.
Yeah,
It's so hard to find yaoi manga, yaoi English titles with
yeah.
sex.
I mean, the only time it came up was very briefly in a flashback. But then again, it was also like, it's just afterglow. They didn't really show the thing that they did. It's just the afterglow afterwards.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Just the afterglows.
But besides that, there's really nothing sexual that happens for the first season.
So I guess it's good because it shows that not all gay relationships are sexual in nature. Sometimes you're just discovering your love for each other and falling deeper and deeper.
But then again, they're also just on the budding relationship stage. Oh, I suddenly like this person. Should I confess? Should I not confess? What if they hate me? Yeah, all of those overthinking things that
So
teenagers
it's
do.
like they're developing.
Mm-mm.
They're
developing their
It's not
relationship.
just you interact and then you go.
At the end of the day, they're still just high school students that still have an immature thought process when it comes to complex stuff like having relationships with other people. Yeah. Oh, there's this other one. I think I mentioned it to you guys before we started this recording, but it's Tadaima Kairi.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who need to know this, Tadaima Kairi is an Omegaverse original story. It's a manga, and it centers around a family of an alpha and omega and their alpha child. Although it more just is solely about the happiness of this child baby who wants to be able to protect his mom, which is a guy, be able to do stuff that his dad can do. So that is, yeah. But besides the being able to copulate with your mom parts, like copying your dad to the point that you were able to endure not being with your dad for the whole day because you wanted to show your mom that you could be just as strong as your dad.
So
Stuff
it's
like that.
kind of not less about the relationship.
It
and
centers
more
about the family.
The family.
Yeah, and actually how the Omega feels about being in an alpha household. Kasi actually the mother he had some growing up of his own to do because he had a very low self-esteem just because of his birth as an Omega. He felt like he had to apologize for everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I haven't even read it and I already called someone BB.
So there you go. And I haven't even talked about Smile by Penguin Frontier. But I think
Let's
I'll
hear
let you
from
guys
them first.
read that for now.
Okay, Yaoi, anime manga that you like and how it subverted the tropes we've been talking about.
Okay, so something that popped into my memory, I haven't read this a second time, so I don't know if it's completely free of problematic themes, but it's actually a manhwa, Korean, which is named Totally Captivated by
Oh.
Yu Ha-jin. judging on the name, I think it's a man who actually wrote the story. So anyway, so while it actually like delved into a lot of like dangerous territory, like the quote unquote Seme is seen as this very aggressive guy, and the quote unquote Uke is this sort of guy who does a lot of household chores but is a diligent student. So there were gender roles apparent in the start of the story. However, actually, in contrast to Given, where there is no sex, in this manhwa, sex is actually normal for them. But like something that was subverted is that the sex is not the peak of the story. Like even after they have, after the, after the, I don't remember the names, but anyway, after they have first had sex with each other, that's not even close to half of the story yet. And something that I really enjoyed is how their relationship developed, from how this aggressive guy learned to know his boundaries, since this other guy is still a college student and still has a lot on his plate that he needs to attend to. Like his world doesn't revolve around his
Yeah.
semi quote unquote, but yeah, but like
Understandable.
so I think as I don't know how young I was when I read this, but like for my kind of the type of yaoi that I consumed at that time, it was a fresh breath of air, because I don't know, it depicted a more healthy relationship for me. So yeah.
relationships, guys.
Yes.
It's nice to hear na more about their lives and not revolving around the seme. I mean, I guess that's what real relationships are. It's not like you two are the only person in the world. You still have other stuff you have to handle. How about you, Kristen?
I'm sorry for repeating my example, but I really have to plug this as
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
the fan fiction, the Germany-Italy fan fiction.
It's okay, it's valid. Fan fiction is
What's the
valid.
title of the fan fiction?
I cannot pronounce German that well, but it's Auf Wiedersehen, Auf Wiedersehen, Auf Wiedersehen.
Doesn't that sound goodbye?
Yeah, it's goodbye.
Yeah, Sweetheart by George de Valliere. And oh geez, it's such a subfest because Italy is the child of the leader of the resistance of North Italy or South Italy, and then Germany was this war pilot for the German army, and it was set in World War II.
So, what is it about that fan fiction that made it different from actual Natalia?
It kind of took wars and history in a darker, more serious light.
So Italy didn't show up from a barrel of tomatoes and yell pasta.
There was pasta, there were tomatoes.
But there's
But yeah, there was no barrel. He didn't show up from a barrel and just yelled pasta
There were
and then
no-
showed up in front of
It's the
Germany.
actual World War II.
Yeah.
Real, not Natalia World War II, real World War II.
So there were some sexual scenes, sexual chapters in the entire fan fiction. It's pretty long, but there were only 2 from my memory. I'm sorry if I made a mistake, but because Germany and Italy are separated for a long portion of the story, those scenes are actually have more dimension to them than just actual sex scenes.
So it's like the sex itself, it's not a peak of their relationship, but just them reuniting after a long time.
There's the reuniting part, but there was also beep. No spoilers here, but there are other emotions in their sex than just the sex. Yes, and aside from that, it wasn't like what Ruth said. It's not the primary premise of the story. They were just citizens of their countries that were trying to survive during World War II. And both characters grew as well characters. They both grew as people while you can see how the war had consequences on them. Just read.
So it's a good. Is it a? Would you say it's a war story or a romance story?
It's a really good balance of both.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's nice to hear. Like it's a war story that takes it into the real life, and romance just happens to be a part of it.
I cry every time.
Oh no, don't cry. Even though we've been almost crying the entire.
Can I just add to the good points of the I guess this is more about the culture of it. It's like the themes actually evolve over time, so we're not always stuck into those themes of trying to put this idealistic kind of semi and this idealistic kind of uke that would always be the handsome one and the cute one together. We're actually evolving those themes into something else over time, and we find that these stories are interesting and sometimes even more interesting than the originals that came before them.
But well, let's not discount the original since
Yeah.
we paved the ground for these more diverse relationships to exist in the first place. So it's nice to see that from the very beginning, we're still continuously adding to the yaoi genre and giving more representations because like I said earlier, the gay community, the LGBTQI plus community as a whole, they are more diverse than what you know of them. And anime, manga, we're just trying to catch up, man. But yeah, speaking of diverse relationships, my turn to plug.
Go on.
I have two things to plug. Okay, let's start with Yuri and Ice. Okay. Yeah, well, I've been talking about Yuri and Ice.
Angelica's heartbeat.
Yeah, we're stupid. But yeah, I'll skip the plot since it's very popular naman. Let's talk about how they subverted some themes about yaoi. First of all, gender roles do not exist because both Victor and Yuri, aka the main relationship in Yuri and Ice, they both display masculinity and femininity. And if you think about it, they're figure skaters. It's attached to a feminine type of sport, but that does not. The world of Yuri and Ice doesn't really touch upon it. Like they don't use the word gay. They just accept Victor and Yuri as they are. Like Yuri, they kiss.
Like
What?
Yuri likes Victor.
They kiss on episode 7 on live television, and yet nobody gives them shiz about it.
Yeah.
It's just love, and that's great.
Was it
And
episode 7? I thought it was episode 9.
It's episode 7.
Okay.
Don't test me. I have memorized what happens per episode. But yeah, episode 7, it broke Tumblr. It was so great. And then lastly, I want to talk about
The
Doc
tastiest katsudon ever.
Great, now I want katsudon. Shut up, Moy.
You've been hungry ever since the start of this podcast. We just didn't mention it.
I'm always hungry.
Anyway, moving on to your second.
Docu-series or classmates. It's a
Oh,
film.
docu-series.
It's a yaoi film. And
It also has a manga.
Yeah, it has a manga. And it's the softest and nicest thing I've ever read about yaoi. Let's not talk about their side novels, but let's just focus on the main one, obviously. It's just really sweet and vanilla, and it's just two high school boys, Kusakabe and Sajo, slowly discovering their love for one another and falling deeper and deeper. There's no sex, and most of the drama is really just drama for high school students. And then them trying to make it through all those problems and realizing which is more important. It's just them realizing what's important in their lives right now and if they're important enough to each other to keep around and to stay. Yeah, I love them so much. But yeah, wow, we have a lot of recommendations.
Actually, I have a few more recommendations.
Yeah, you have a few more. You want to talk about more?
No, I wouldn't want to make this too long for our editor.
But yeah, so it's nice to see how yaoi has evolved as a genre. Like we started out with really negatives, like the definition of yaoi, the choshi padanshi thing, and then the really negative tropes about the yaoi genre. But it's nice to see us ending on a light note with the newer yaoi, with the introduction of fan fiction and fan art. So yeah, yaoi as a genre has developed and evolved from what it originally was way back then. The apps are making heart signs. They're adorable. I love it. Yeah. I think people should really consider watching more yaoi in their lives. And I don't know, the bad light we see of yaoi, they shouldn't take it as a sign not to consider it anymore as a genre to watch. Because really, yaoi opens a lot of doors for education and learning. And yeah, that's what makes it great. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for our podcast. Yay!
Never ever disregard a way for you to learn more about the world. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. You've been so philosophical about this past weeks. Good job, Yaoi. But well, before we end the podcast, we'd like to acknowledge our applicants, Kristen and Ruth.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys. They're the ones who pitched this topic for us. So thank you for giving us a really it's a topic that's it's been part of the community for a long time, and it's really ingrained in a lot of history. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about yaoi and fangirl and cry and laugh. So yeah, do you have any last words you want to add before we wrap up?
Um,
Go on.
okay. So really, I really love yaoi, and a lot of people love yaoi as well. So I don't think this should be like some people use your preference over yaoi as something to judge you about. So you shouldn't mind those because there's nothing wrong with loving yaoi, and there's a lot more to appreciate about it. Especially it's the even more possible contributions to our LGBTQI plus community. So yes, please.
This one's for
You know what? I can't say it either, but I guess since we've been talking about it for like well over an hour already, I think people already know. But I'm still not able to say it fully. So, yeah.
How about you, Kristen?
Well said, Ruth. All I could do is to second the notion. Very well said. Yes, that's
You
that's
can't
all.
say it either, can you? Or will you leave me
the what?
saying it?
The what?
You don't have to say it if you don't want to. It's fine. Yeah, just seconding the
Yeah.
instruction. That's cool. That's cool. So yeah, thank you for giving us and letting us hear about your insights. And that's it for our podcast today. Yay! So thank you guys for listening. Once again, this is this is Angelica.
This is Eric.
This is Ruth.
And I'm Kristen.
And you've just listened to AME After Hours, the weekly podcast where we talk about anything and everything about anime, manga, or the community.
Now, before we leave, we would just like to remind you, leave a like down below, smash that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and if you want us to talk about some specific topics or some specific songs that you would want to suggest from us to start the recording with, put them down below in the comments.
And also, if you guys haven't seen the outlook from last week, we're actually opening a suggestion box to you guys for the audience. It's going to be up on our Facebook page. It's probably up on our Facebook page already by the time this will be uploaded. Hopefully. So yeah, we're taking suggestions. We're always looking for constructive criticism and feedback on how we can further improve our podcast. It's going to be November soon. Good luck, thesis people. Oh, right. Goal update.
Yeah, we have goals to update. Okay, so I still don't have a microphone. Surprisingly, even though we have our own microphones now in our recordings, I won't be able to bring this home. But apart from that, I would like to say that I would like to make a Filipino version of Fuyu no Hanoshi from Given. Like, I'm gonna put it in a what's it called? Filipino setting. Instead of snow, it's gonna be like rain because it rains all the time here, but it never snows. So we're just gonna talk about rain. And hey, there's been a lot of sad love songs that use rain as part of their song mechanics. Yeah. So yeah, let's start with that. I'm gonna preview it to you guys first in Acadcom before I actually post it up online. I don't know if I should even post it up online. I'm too shy about this. I don't want to be heard online.
Man, take it at your own face, but it's nice to hear you're making a step towards it.
Alright, fine. Your turn.
Oh my god! I'm gonna start. Me and my thesis partner are gonna start on chapter 4 next week. It's our last chapter for the semester, and after that, it's just preparation for our thesis defense, which is on November 21. So if you guys want to leave me some good logs or thesis defense tips, I'd really appreciate it.
Actually, my mom told me that I was like almost done already with my professor told me that I was almost done with my manuscript as it is. So she told me to just first make an abstract already and then finish up what's on my thesis so that it can be ready for submission when the submission date arrives.
I had come at you graduation together. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed our little update and our podcast so far.
I'm actually wondering how Ian's studying Japanese.
Alright, so yeah, if you guys don't know, let's update for Ian. Ian's goal was to study Japanese and JLPT, while Ian's in Japan right now.
He traveled to Japan.
He traveled to Japan. Yeah, immersion.
How about you guys, Kristen? Sam, do you guys want to travel to Japan at some point in time?
Can I hide an Ian suitcase?
What now?
Can I hide an Ian suitcase?
No, he already left. His flight was earlier in the morning.
This morning. So yeah.
So when you guys are going to Japan, I'm gonna hide in your suitcase.
Have fun in Japan.
Unless we get charged for human trafficking. That's not.
Hey Ian, bring us 100 yen coins. Actually, just bring me a 100 yen coin. That's good enough souvenir for me.
I still remember when Matt gave me a Haikyuu manga. I just asked for Haikyuu and she got me Haikyuu. Yeah, okay.
Alright,
That's actually it. Thank you for the little updates, guys. Thank you for the podcast. And thank you guys for listening to us ramble and talk and discuss and make discourse about yaoi as a genre. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all of the everything Eric said earlier. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.